Every single person in this world has a story to share. Your story is your superpower, and it's unique to you. In sharing it with the world, you can impact millions of people. If you keep it to yourself, you are doing the world a disservice. This is Dela. I'm the host of Dela's Voice, and I help you share your superpower with the world.
Hello, happy Sunday. Welcome to another episode of Dela's Voice Sunday live show. It's absolutely my pleasure to have this platform as I bring you amazing stories, extraordinary people who have found their own passion, their purpose, and they're living it every day. And they're helping other people have better lives. They're impacting the world around them, and they're making this world a better place. Today, we're talking about self-worth. What does it mean to you? How is it important in your life? Or have you ever thought about that? To me, self-worth has been a long journey. Finding my self-worth has been a long journey. Finding it in my personal life, and also seeing the importance of it in business as I carry out my day-to-day business. I think we can all relate to this subject. So I am very, very fortunate to have our next today, who's an expert at this. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring you my guest. But first, I want to ask you, the viewer, to please share this talk with others because we want to spread this knowledge as much as possible. So be generous and share this with your friends. And also, if you're watching this from YouTube right now, please press that subscribe button so that the next time we have a new show, you'll know all about that. And don't forget the likes because we love those. A little bit about my brave, courageous, funny, inspirational, motivational, fantastic guest. His name is William Winterton. I call him the coach of coaches because that's exactly what he does. His passion is serving coaches. He helps them attract clients in their lives. William actually started his first business at the age of 14. So you can say he's an experienced entrepreneur. I can't wait for you to meet him. William has a lot of platforms today through which he helps coaches get to that next level. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the amazing William Winterton. Woo!
Woo! What's going on, Dela? Wow, what an introduction. That was so sweet. How are you?
I'm excellent now that you're here. Awesome. Awesome. I can't wait for this. I've been waiting for this for a long time, just so you know. I'm super excited.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Nice to
You're
have
so
you.
sweet. I love your show. I love what you're doing. I love that you're empowering people, your voice, and empowering others, encouraging to use their voice. It's phenomenal. So I'm thrilled, honored, and privileged to be here. Super cool.
I'm pumped. Okay, let's do this. And I want to welcome everyone who's watching us right now. And please, please, please remember, don't keep this knowledge to yourself. Sharing is caring. So press that share button and share this with your friends. Right? Because, okay, so the information you're going to hear today, you just never know whose life you may touch. And honestly, a lot of it we've heard before. And you may think, well, I knew this, but the way you hear it today might be different. It might be just the way you need to hear this to make that big difference in your life. So here we go. William, can we start with a little bit of where you started? So like, what was life for you? like as a boy?
Wow. So let's just talk a little bit. You mentioned my first business when I was 14 years old. The first thing I did. That actually, the first business I ever had, I was a magician and a clown for children's birthday parties back as a teenager. It was my first thing I actually did. Started my own company and started doing this, which, as you can guess, hasn't, as far as the entertainment side of it, hasn't changed a whole lot. But that was my first venture. I started doing a lot of little odd jobs here and there. I've never really had a desk job where you sit down at the cubicle and do stuff. I've always been way too active and want to run around and jump around. I was a professional puppeteer for 10 years. So I did that at my church. I've written a lot of music. I've done a lot of just production stuff. And so, yeah, it's been a life of just trying to share enthusiasm and energy and excitement with people. And it's been a life of sharing my story and sharing passion and love of life is basically what it comes down to. Then about 2008, I got into the real estate world whenever the market was all crashing down here in the United States. My wife and I got into that. Yeah. What happened? So here's the story. I got into it because of that. We had some friends who had actually gone through some pretty tough times, lost their house. And so we were trying to think, how do we fix it? I'm a professional puppeteer. I don't have a lot of real estate background. I don't know anything about it. So how do I help? How do I fix this? So we went in and started learning how to make that work. In that process, we ended up receiving a lot of coaching, a lot of help, a lot of support. And that is when I learned about coaching and how powerful that is. So I quickly jumped from going and being a full-time real estate person to saying, I want to change people's lives through coaching. And so that's what led me that direction. I've worked with small business owners. I've worked with real estate investors. And now for the past several years, I am exclusively working with coaches and consultants because that's really where I feel like I can do the most good. So that is the quick journey.
That's the gist of it, right?
Yeah.
Really. I mean, you talk about coaching and your first introduction to really what coaching was all about. And that's really interesting because you got a coach in real estate teaching you how to do that part. And then you thought, wow, this is really cool. And then you started saying to yourself, I want to become a coach. What is it about coaching that really attracted you?
Coaching is really just bringing out the amazingness inside of another person. And I'll share with you exactly what happened with us. Again, I didn't know anything about real estate. I learned a lot. We learned all the numbers and how to do, real estate transactions and how to fund and finance. We learned all the logistics of it. But then came the time when I had to go, my wife and I, again, she's a stay-at-home mom. I worked at my church as a puppeteer. Again, not a whole lot of real estate savviness. And we had to go out and apply this stuff. And we spent quite a bit of money learning and studying and growing. But then you actually had to go and talk to people and try and get these transactions to happen. And that freaked us out. I mean, it's really, really self-conscious, very nervous. A lot of the limiting beliefs, a lot of the doubts, who am I to try and get something happening, right? So we had connected with some coaches in that group. Again, not really knowing anything about what coaching was, but the conversations were just helping us to unstick some of the things that we had set, some of the boundaries we had put on ourselves, right? And so that's the only thing that was really stopping us from succeeding in this, because I had never been a real estate person. I had never been financially successful. I had never had these amazing opportunities. And now that they're available, I was still living in this life of, okay, but that's not who I am. And I can't be that person. And I'm stuck here. And I was trying to get here, but I was putting myself in this box. So when the coaching came along, the coaching is the vehicle that helps you go from where you are to where you want to be. That's all coaching. That's literally the best definition I can give you. Is coaching is literally the person who takes you from where you're like, I don't think I can do this, to becoming the person that you know in your heart you'd love to be, but you just don't know how to get there. And coaching is that process that allows to make that possible.
I love it. I love that definition. So concise, very clear, and it's so true. Because coaches do that. Like they help you see what you are capable of, and I love that. I always say that, you know, my coaches believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And that's really powerful, because they can see, they can so see where you can't see yourself. And that's really what a coach does. And I love the idea that you help now coaches. I mean, you're the coach of coaches.
Yes. Well, I believe, because of the transformations that have happened in my life, and my wife and I have had coaching on finance, we've had coaching on our relationship, we've had coaching on real estate, on business, on parenting. Like, we've just had coaching in so many areas, and every time we've brought on a really amazing coach into our life, we've seen massive change. So it became obvious to me that if you are connected and aligned with the right coach and somebody who can actually help you and is really interested in making sure you have breakthroughs and are able to get things done in a big way, that to me, there's no more powerful in the industry than that. I mean, there's nothing more powerful than going in and helping somebody who is going to remain stuck for years and helping to break that through and do in a much shorter weeks, sometimes months, break them through and get them so much further ahead. I like to think of coaching as kind of the fast forward button on our remote control. Like, you're going to go through all this stuff. You're going to succeed at some point. The question is, do you want to succeed in the next couple of weeks and months, or do you want it to take, 10 or 15 or 20 years, which it could take to fix these things? And so, yeah, the more I can serve coaches and empower them, that is what gets me up in the morning. That's what gets me excited. And the past few years, that's all I've done.
I love that.
Amazing.
It's like I look at you as the head of this army, right? And you your coaches are your army. But it's true, because I mean, imagine, okay, one coach can help so many people, but you're coaching coaches who help so many people. So look at the impact of what you're doing. I think that's really powerful, William.
I love it. And I'll be honest, I'm not the only, like, in the past several years, there's been a lot of what I like to tease as the coaches who coach coaches, coaching coaches. Like, a lot of these groups have come up, and I'm in favor of it. I think that the more people, I have coaches myself. I just think the more people you can take, and if you're all in the right direction, it doesn't do anything negative. It just moves everything forward faster. So I think it's a beautiful thing.
So today we decided to talk about self-worth.
Yeah.
Did you always know about this? Like, did you always know your self-worth, William?
Absolutely not even close. So I'll go back. Now, I know your story. I know your listeners probably know your story, and we all have a different story. I think it's what's beautiful about this podcast. And I will tell you that, like, my story is nowhere near the same in terms of the things we had to go through in our lives. But for each person, everybody's journey does have its rises and its falls and its challenges. And so how was I raised? I'm a very middle class raised person, a white guy in a white area, white neighborhood. Was never rich, was never poor. I never really, I wasn't ever in poverty. We never had to sleep out of a van. Never had, like, nothing. I have no major story like that to say. I was never addicted to substances, alcohol. Like, I don't have that life.
What a boring life, William.
Incredibly boring, right? This is why I have to be so energized now, because everything. No, that's why I became a puppeteer. I think I'm not sure.
But the puppeteer, yeah, that part is a story.
No, but what ends up happening, though, and I will say, the interesting thing, the main thing for me is that I was always a smaller guy. I was young. I was the youngest kid in my class by a long ways. When you're in high school, most of the kids turned 18 through their senior year of high school. I turned 18 on graduation day. Like, I didn't drive a car till I was a senior in high school. Everybody else was way ahead of me in that sense. So I had a little bit of complex of being the little kid, growing up, which I know as you get older, you like to be younger, but when you're a child, that's hard. But more than that, I was also very small. I'm a pretty small dude. I was under 100 pounds until I became a high schooler. So I was a little tiny, skinny guy. Unlike the buff football player looking guy you see in front of you today, I was pretty small. So I had a lot of challenges with that. But the other challenge that I had was the area that I lived in. Again, we weren't poor, but the area I lived in was very affluent, and the kids that I went to school with were incredibly wealthy, and I felt very underachieved. They would come into brand new clothes, the brand new styles, the super expensive cars would drop them off. I mean, they were doing great. And there was a pack of us, like 4 or 5 kids who were just not the wealthy kids, and we were the targets, right? And so we got, bullied and picked on for just not being super rich. So while it didn't affect my life in the sense that, oh my gosh, everything's going to end, I had a long time in my life where I believed, okay, so there's rich people, there's wealthy people, and then there's really, really poor people, and then there's just where I'm going to kind of hover the rest of my life. I'll just stay in this little belt right here. And I don't want to be super poor, but I'm not going to make enough money to be rich, so I'm just going to live here. And I believed that for a long time. I believed that it was already like destined for me to be a very middle class, this is it person, right? That was the lid. That was as high as I could possibly go. And I believed that for a long time in my life. So the self-worth issue comes in when you get this idea of going into something like real estate where there's a lot of money to be made. Part of the challenge I even had was that, why should I do this? I don't deserve to have anything coming in, right? I don't deserve to make a lot of money. I don't deserve to be successful. Yeah, I work at a church. I make, a church in Tucson, Arizona doesn't make a lot of money, despite what you might think a puppeteer makes. So it's small. And so I thought, I'll stay here. So the minute I decided to break out of that, major self-worth issues, right? Major challenges with my own mind telling me what I was limited to. And it took a lot of time and a lot of coaching to get me past that to where now I don't see any limit on what I can do or who I can help. And it's a process. So everybody's got a story like that, though. Everybody's got something they're overcoming, right? Everybody's got a past that is holding them back. And so I've made that a big thing for me to be like, I'm gonna help you break that, and I'm gonna show you what's possible with yourself, and blow your mind with how amazing you really are that you don't know yet.
So good. A lot of people can resonate with this. So we're just going to look at some of the people who are watching us right now. If you're watching this show right now, I want to thank you. Good for you for watching this show right now. That makes you super, super intelligent because you're watching this show right now. I want to make sure that we say hi to you. If you're watching this, drop a line so that I can say hello. Otherwise, I won't know that you're here. Sarah says hello. And Robert J. Moore says, this is cool. Umara, hello, good afternoon. Blessings to you too, my friend. Babak says, hi, Dela and William. Hello. Sarah says, I'm learning German and I don't speak English, but thank you for your hospitality and energy. The energy, yes, it seeps through the internet. I know that, but good for you. This is good for you for watching shows in English, because that's going to help you. Look who's here. Lori.
Hey, Lori. Lori is kind of our guardian angel. She's an amazing, amazing woman.
Yes.
And Lori, you are a rock star, but I don't tell you that. You know that.
Thank you, Lori, for introducing this amazing man into my life. Thank you so much. Babak says, most people say, I'm nobody. And where do I need to start? That's a question, actually. That's a good question, actually.
Yeah. So most people. All right. So let's break this down. First of all, it's easy to just say, of course you're not a nobody, right? But we all go through that, right? Where we're thinking that there's only so much I'm able to give, and I think part of the challenge is, what do I possibly have that will make a difference to somebody else? What good can I actually offer to actually help? And who am I to step in front of any kind of a podium or microphone and start sharing a story? I have my own challenges. I have my own problems. I have my own stuff. I'm going to be a hypocrite. I'm going to be called out for being a liar or a con artist for trying to tell people all this amazing stuff when I don't have my own stuff together. Right. And so there's a lot of that goes through of how do I go from being, like you said, a nobody, which nobody is. But how do I go from being that to being somebody who's confident and able to make things happen? It really comes down to taking the pressure off of you and instead looking at who you're serving. I've done a lot of work on what's called imposter syndrome, which is essentially going in and believing that you're not worth anything good that's happening to you. Anything good that happens is just luck, but it's not because of your efforts. It's because you're just lucky. That's the only reason. So imposter syndrome is what tricks us into thinking that, we're going to have to stay small, because as soon as we get big, people are going to find out that we're not, really, amazing. And part of how to overcome that is, if you think that I'm nobody, I'm not worth it, take that off of you and just put your focus on the people you're helping.
Yes.
The people you're helping need to hear your story. They need help. They need guidance. They need answers. They need optimism. They need all that stuff, right? And if you're able to provide that, it's no longer about you. It's no longer about how amazing you are and how perfect you are, because we aren't, right? We're boat loaded with flaws. But it's not about making us better. It's about making our audience better. It's about making the people we serve better. And if you redirect all that energy, so you're not focused on what you don't know or what you can't do, and you focus on what I'm going to be able to help you do and what I'm going to give everything to help you, it shifts. And suddenly you're no longer need to be perfect. You no longer need to be like flawless and able to speak eloquently and get everything out without worry. It's about supporting and uplift people who truly need your help. And that for me has been huge. Like, I no longer, like, I talk really fast. I stop mid-sentence on a bunch of stuff. I stutter, stammer. I do everything wrong in public speaking, but I'm way too excited. I get that. But my entire goal of what I do is thinking, okay, how can I take this and funnel this to help the person I'm working with? And very, very rarely, if ever, somebody will come back to me and say, I don't believe you, William. I can't work with you. I don't trust you. Like, because it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about making sure you get the result. And that's where I put all my energy into. So I would tell you, and Bob, is that the person who said about this?
Yes.
About,
yes.
About not being. So Bob, it's, if you take that focus off yourself, first of all, nobody's looking at you that hard. You're looking at yourself a lot harder than anybody else looks at. All right. And if you're able to go out and support and serve, that's what they're looking at. Go out and make them the priority. That's the key. That's the motivation. And then suddenly it takes the spotlight off of you, and you can serve in amazing, amazing ways that takes a lot of pressure off of you, and it's just purely there to help and support. So yeah, just take the redirect. Call it redirect the focus. Does that make sense?
Makes so much sense. So much sense, because it's so true. When we get out of our own head and start looking at, how can I serve you? How can I help you? Is the pressure is off of you. You're no longer thinking so hard. Okay, am I doing this correctly? And you're right. And we're looking for perfection. And if we're looking for perfection, we may never start anything at all, because there's no such thing as perfection. So, oh my God, you said that so right. I felt a lot of that too when it came down to, like, when it was writing my book. Who's going to want to read my book, William? Who am I? Like, I'm not Oprah Winfrey. I'm not Rachel Hollis. I'm not all these famous people. Who's going to care what my story is? And it's probably been told 1,000 times. But the truth is, nobody is me, and nobody's going to tell that story from my perspective. And the moment I believe that it's going to help someone, I thought this book is going to help someone. It was like I got the superpower to start writing my books. So I totally lived that. So thank you so much. It made total sense. Total sense. Mwah, so good. So good. So good. Wow.
Well, it's crazy. As soon as you remove yourself from it, it just switches it. So, and your story is phenomenal. Your book everything is amazing. And anybody who's listening and watching and hasn't checked it out, you need to go and connect with Dela and get her story in her book and hear her. She's absolutely amazing.
I just happen to have it right here. Just coincidence. I don't know. It just happened.
So odd. How do you? Yeah, it's so convenient.
Okay, so all right. So going back to self-worth, and so how does that how does that seep through into the rest of what we do? So we got this, the idea of self-worth is my own self-worth, which stems from believing in yourself and loving yourself and getting rid of all the limiting beliefs. How does that relate when it comes to your business, to the way you run your day-to-day business?
So yeah, you have to constantly work at it. For one thing, you can easily go back and regress back into really struggling with believing that your message is worthy. I fight it all the time. For myself, like I said in the beginning, there's so many coaches out there, and I like to tease that they're coaches who coach coaches, coaching coaches. It's like this new wave of people going in and doing this. And you see a lot of stories. You see a lot of people who are like in their business and, oh my gosh, I made a ton of money doing this, or I helped all these people do this. And like, you start comparing yourself with all the success of everybody else, and you look at it from not a view of everybody's moving, like the tidal wave is moving the same direction. You look at it as if you're fighting against it. I'm trying to be as good as somebody. And it's been said, comparison is the thief of joy. And the minute you start to try and compare everything you do with everything you see, especially online, when it's so easy to be deceived, it's so easy to be, it's so easy to fall into the trap that it looks like everybody else is living in a perfect world. And then you look at your own mess and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so flawed. I have so many things wrong. So the minute you start comparing and you just live off of that example, it will tear you down. So for me, I have to constantly remember, it's just like I said before, why am I doing this? Who am I trying to help? Right? Who am I trying to serve? And a beautiful thing that's happened with my life is the coaches who helped me in my life. And I've had dozens, and I have one still who's just amazing. I still work with very consistently. I know they're very flawed people. They got all sorts of problems, right? But that doesn't mean they can't help me or that they aren't in this for trying to help and serve. Coaching, or really any kind of service like this, doesn't and shouldn't require you to feel like you are all put together. I know people who are financial coaches who have struggled with their own financial world, but they are amazing at helping other people. I know relationship coaches who are currently going through a divorce, yet are incredible at helping people on, it's not about you being perfect. And I think that's where we fall into a trap. We start, if you think, you could probably think in your head of people who have fallen, who have been at the top of their game, either in the coaching world or the business or the political, who just looked like they had it all together. And something went wrong and it came crashing down because they were trying to live up to this facade of, well, I'm going to, if I'm talking about, let's say faith and religion, then I've got to be perfect. And then all of a sudden something happens and then, oh, that's a hypocrite, right? So you can't build it on that. So as long as you're authentic, as long as you are really adamantly like devoted to making sure you're serving and you're helping, and that the person you're helping and serving is the reason you're doing everything, then all the other pieces like success, money, clients, health, all other things will fall into place as long as you're being authentic and true to your purpose of what you're trying to get done. If you're trying to live a facade and trying to live this mirage of being all put together, it's all great and good and glorious, something will slip, and then you're stuck scrambling, and it's way harder to recover from that than it is just to go in from the beginning and say, okay, you know what, I'm probably going to mess this up, but here's what I think could really help you, and here's what we're going to try and do. I do that all the time. I'm constantly you just redirect off of yourself and say, oh, we're just trying to fix you, and let's figure this out, right? Mm-hmm. So I hope that kind of answered your question a little bit, but that's how it applies to my life.
Yeah. And I remember one time I was watching you talk about something specific, and I thought, that's so true. And I mentioned it to you before the show. You were talking about how, people are so afraid to ask for the right price for their services. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's so true. There's so much truth to this, because it is one of those those things that I think we all deal with. So can we go there for a couple of minutes and just revisit that?
I'd love
if you
to.
don't mind? Okay, all right, yeah. So what do you say to people who are giving a service, coaches, for example? I mean, it's so hard for coaches to ask for the right amount of money. And first of all, why is that, William?
It's hard because it's difficult to quantify. Coaching is it's a very abstract, coaching itself is an abstract process. If I want to buy a car and the car is $40,000, I see the car, I look at the car, I can drive the car, I get it. It's got all these features and it's amazing and it gets great mileage. I can figure out why it's a $40,000 car or a $2,000 car, right? I can get all that stuff. If I'm going to buy the new iPhone, I understand why the new iPhone is $1,000. I understand why this computer, or why I even understand where things like just very tangible, taste it, touch it, see it, hold it kind of things I can apply a value to. Coaching, right? Coaching is not typically thought of that way. Coaching is very abstract. It's like I'm going to take you and guide you and coach you and ask you questions, and then that's what people are trying to sell, is this kind of week to week process of come with me, let's have a session once a week, and I'm going to charge you $2,000 to do it. And people are just like, what? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And it's because it's not just, you can't justify that, you can't quantify that. Why am I doing this? And they say, because I'm going to help you smash your limiting beliefs, which is so typical. Like we understand what that is, and some people listening might understand that. But to most people, if you ask them, hey, Dela, what are your limiting beliefs? Most people will say, I don't have any, because it's my beliefs. It's not it's what I believe. When I was again thinking I was going to be a very, very, very middle-class person, right? I got a middle-class mother and father, middle-class family. We're just going to be 40,000, 50,000 a year is what I'm going to make. That is my number, and it'll increase because of inflation, and that's it. Like, that's where I'm going to live. That zone is never going to go higher than that, and I'm probably not going to go lower than that. That's where my beliefs were. That's what I was telling myself. And it's like, if I ever had a time where I brought in more money and I made $70,000 in a year, I would freak out and I would try and spend it. I can't have this much. This is more than I should have. And so I'd figure out some way to waste it, because in my mind I'm stuck. And with coaching, it's very abstract to try and sell a process. So you can't do that. And so with a lot of coaches, they get nervous about that, and they try to convince people that they should pay them. So then they have to do the only thing they can think of. They have to lower their price. Well, okay, you're right. $2,000 is a lot of money. Tell you what, how about $500 and I'll coach you? And then that becomes into a price war, and you start becoming this like Walmart's commodity, where you're trying to be the low price leader, and that gets worse and worse, because now people are thinking, well, wait, why are you reducing the price? What's not valuable anymore? And it's so hard to grasp this idea that coaching actually has tangible value. There's actual measurable, tangible value you can get from coaching, or from really any service. If you're a public speaker and you go out on stage, or now I guess virtual stages, and you speak, if you're an author, there's a tangible value to that. If you are doing something that is not selling a physical product, there's still a tangible, measurable outcome. And the challenge is figuring out what is that tangible, measurable outcome, and price yourself according to that. I've heard it described as far as coaches. It's if you can take what you're doing and you can compare yourself, and you can put yourself as something that's whatever your price is, whatever you're charging. If you can give the same description of your coaching and the same description of that outcome as something that is in the same price zone. For instance, if you charge $5,000 for a package of coaching, what's something $5,000, and what's something that's worth that you can compare what you're doing and say, look, here's what I'm offering to you. You can go and buy this $5,000 thing, or I can change the trajectory of your life to where you can make 10 times that or 20 times that through business skills, or through finding the person of your dreams and actually being in a healthy relationship, or losing 20 pounds and avoiding possibly becoming a type 2 diabetic. I mean, all these things that are massive results that you can then just take and quantify the results way faster than you can quantify the process. So
amazing.
it's a very long way to say, listen, it basically is. We doubt ourselves. We doubt everything we're doing because again, it's a self-worth thing. It's this thing of who am I to charge a lot of money, and I shouldn't be charging money and people can't afford it. And you just put all these false things in your head. And pretty soon, you're back to your 9-to-5 job and you're not coaching anymore because you can't make any money at it. And that's the heartbreaking part is you give up on it.
Yes. And something about quantifying that in terms of, look at, like, I'm only spending an hour coaching this person. How do I justify charging this person like $500 an hour or whatever it is an hour? But instead, looking at it not just for that 1 hour, but look at what it's doing in the long term for that person. Right? So you're potentially you're changing.
You gotta charge.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was done. I was done.
You gotta put yourself based on. Yeah, no, okay. You gotta price the result on what it's worth, and so often. So coaching, like I said before, coaching is taking somebody who's here. Let me get the screen here. Somebody who's here and getting them to here. That's coach. I'm stuck here and I want to get here. Coaching is the vehicle. Okay. So that's all it is. So you're here, you want to get here. That's all it is. What a great analogy. And I cannot remember who said this the first time. And it's not my own, but it's an analogy I use all the time, is that your coaching is very much like an airplane. Okay. And if I live in Tucson, Arizona. Dela, where are you at again? Where do you live?
I muted myself. Toronto.
That's it. You're in Toronto. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm in Tucson and you're in Toronto. So if I wanted to come visit you after COVID and everything's, go and buy a plane ticket to go from Tucson to Toronto. All right. So that is just what coaching is. Coaching is the airplane. So many times people get so hung up on this idea of the airplane. And I'm going to sell you my coaching. I'm going to sell you this airplane. This is a great airplane. It's an amazing airplane. Stewardess bring you food. There's a movie. Like, we're just going all these benefits of this airplane. But that's not, I don't really care about the airplane. What do I want to do? I want to go visit Dela in Toronto. That's what I want to do. And I'm in Tucson. So what do I need to do? I need to buy a ticket and get to Dela. And that is what you're selling as a coach. And too many times we're selling this idea of all these wonderful things this airplane has. But ultimately, if I buy, let's say, a ticket for $2,000 to fly to Toronto, and the airplane was wonderful, that's great. But let's say that, the airplane ride was supposed to take 5 hours for me to get there. And instead, the pilot figured out a way to get me there in 3 hours. Am I going to go back to the pilot and say, okay, hang on, I spent $5,000 on this ticket for this airplane, or $2,000 this airplane, and I was promised a 5-hour flight, but you got me to Toronto in 3 hours. I want money back. I demand a refund because I paid for a 5-hour flight, and I'm gonna just shake my fist. Nobody does that. But all I wanted to do was get there. So if I can get there faster, why is my service any less, right? It's not a matter of I want to enjoy the plane ride. And you're not selling coaching. Nobody enjoys being coached. Nobody enjoys going on a diet. Nobody enjoys being given a budget for their finances, right? I don't want the budget. I want to be able to have money to spend. I don't want to diet and exercise. I want to look good in a bathing suit. I don't want to have a systems plan for my business. I want my business to grow and I want to make, 10 times as much money. That's what people want. And so that is the quantifiable outcome. So for me, I want to get to Toronto and I want to go hang out with my friend Dela. That's all I want. I don't really give a rip about the airplane or the amenities of the airplane. That's just not a big deal to me. I just know the airplane is the fastest way to get there. Sure, take my money. I'll fly an airplane. Now, I could drive to Toronto. I could take a bus to Toronto. I could walk. There's also some cheaper ways to do it. But coaching is the fastest way to get somebody from point A to point B. If you are with a good coach and they can help you and they are aligned with you, then the fastest way to get there is that airplane. And so I'm willing to spend more money. I want to get to see Dela faster. And that is what it comes down to. So the value that you're offering is all about the result. It is not about the journey. And does that analogy, that makes sense?
That made so much sense. That's always going to stick with me. Yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's such, again, you're flipping your head. You're not selling coaching, right? You're not selling, in your case, you're not really even selling a podcast, or you're really not even selling your book. Like, you're selling what comes from people going through and getting that, right? So
Yeah.
are there 100 other books out there just like yours? Probably similar. Are there other people who have shows just like yours? Yeah, probably. I mean, that's not the way you compete it, right? What you're doing is you're taking people through specifically who understand your story and understand where you're at, and hear you and hear the guests that you bring on and hear where your message is, and they go, man, I love Dela's voice. I love what she's talking about. I love her stories. I love what she's at. It resonates with me. I got to work with her. I got to get to know her. I got to be a part of her world. And that's what draws people in. It's not that, oh, she's got a book. Great. I'll hire her. Like, that's one thing, but it's the story. It's the outcome that you can get from that. And
Yeah.
that is what you can quantify. That's what you can actually sell. And so those kind of conversations, that's what gets me so excited about it. And I see so many coaches, especially since that's my world, who go in and their websites are just gorgeous. I mean, they've spent thousands on these amazing websites that talk all this coach language, right? We'll shatter the glass ceiling and break your limiting beliefs and help you with all your toxic thoughts. And it's all this like goody coachy stuff that we love. Like, we love this stuff. And the world is looking at it like, what is this? Like, I don't mean, toxic thought. What is it? Like, I have no idea. And are you talking to me, or what am I going to get out of this? I don't want that. But people who flip it and say, if you're stuck and you haven't had a good relationship for 20 years because you've had some you've had some trust issues in the past, but you're ready to move on and you want to move on, but you just don't know how to take that action. I've worked with clients. This is what I do. I help you break out of that, and I'm gonna help you find somebody that you're actually gonna want to spend time with and actually trust and love and actually have that part of your life fulfilled again. That's what I help you do. Now, suddenly that story sounds so much more compelling.
Yes.
Than I'm a relationship coach. Hire me, right? It's a total difference.
Yes. So Babak says that's really helpful when you explained. And also he says, so you basically saying, listen to me carefully, but don't watch me closely. So I think that's going back to, coaches, they don't have to have it all perfectly together, when they're talking about something. Yeah. So like that kind of reminds me of when sometimes, well, I teach kickboxing on Zoom. And so sometimes I'm doing the routine, but I'm doing it, but I'm what I say and what I do is not exactly the same thing. So that kind of reminded me of that. And I always say, right, do as I say, don't do as I do as I say, because I know what I'm talking about. So that kind of reminded me of that. And Marianne is here too, and she says, so awesome. What you said had just resonated with. Yes, for sure. William, we're just gonna take a very, very short break and play a commercial, and then we'll be right back. And I want to hear all about everything you're doing to help these coaches coach better. Sounds good? We'll be right back.
That's great.
Okay, and we're back. Okay, so we're talking to William Winterton, coach of coaches. Woohoo! And I want to bring the conversation to all the different areas that you're helping coaches attract clients, be better coaches, do serve their clients better. And so I know that you have 3 different platforms. So first of all, you have your podcast. And that's awesome. That's how I know you, because I was lucky enough to be interviewed on your podcast, Coaching Success Radio, and so that was a lot of fun. So, what do you do on the podcast? Just to tell everybody. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I started the podcast. Yeah, it's right. It's right here. Very conveniently placed, just like your book. It just happens to be right here. It's just crazy. Yeah. So the podcast essentially is designed for coaches. It's called Coaching Success Radio. Again, there's dozens of podcasts very similar in like being a successful coach. My format is one of 3 types of shows. Either I bring on amazing guests who are experts in their field, like we had Lori on a second ago saying, I want to bring people in who can help people blow up their coaching business in creative ways through either branding or marketing or just some different creative strategies. So that's the first group of people. Second group of people, like with Dela, is somebody who's coming in who's just on fire, amazing, and working in the trenches. I call these my future success stories. People who are just really, they have their heart after this. They're either just in the newer stages of it, or just developing, or they're just in that major growth path, and aren't quite what you'd call the people like the major players yet, but just on fire, which is on the show. And she's amazing. You should go check out that episode if you don't know her story. She is on there. I'm not smart enough to remember what the number was. Yeah, I know it was something on there, but I know what podcast she was. The third type of thing I do on my show is I deliver a lot of my original content as well to help you grow your business. Very much stories like what I've been sharing with the airplane analogy and just that stuff. So just what you can do right now, what things actually work in the coaching world and consulting world to help you find clients. That is basically what my podcast is. It's every single week, comes out a new episode every Monday. So check it out, Coaching Success Radio. Perfect. iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff.
and you're such an awesome host, and you're so funny, and you're just so full of energy. Very, very, very cool show. Okay, then you have your online coaching community. And that's exciting. I want to hear about that, which is called CoachSwap. And so that's really exciting. I thought that was really, really neat. So how did that idea come about, and what is it?
I didn't mean to have this happen. It started about May, and it was something, you know how I start doing stuff and you get an idea and you're like, I really don't have time for this. This isn't something I wanted to do, but it just won't leave you alone. That's kind of what happened with CoachSwap. I woke up one morning, and very early in the morning for me, and I got up and I spent about 3 hours just writing down for this group. And essentially what it comes down to is this. I've been doing this long enough that I help people find coaching clients and get their business growing. So if you're already coaching, you're already in this world, you're trying to find clients, that's what I coach you on. I also have worked with people who do accreditation, who, if you want to become a coach, you learn how, you study, you know, questions to ask, and you know how to get, you know, like your coaching certification. So there's getting certified, and then there's going out and finding clients and how to bring them in. But there's a gap in between there. And it hit me one day that this is a very much needed gap of actually taking what you've learned in your Learn How to Be a Coach program and fusing it through having practice and real life conversations with other people. So you're encouraged in your coaching program to go and practice sessions with friends and family. And the problem with that is they don't really totally understand all the time what it is you're doing. And so it's hard to try and practice session with somebody and not really know what you're trying to get out of it. So I've created a group called CoachSwap. And it literally is, it's got about 80 coaches from all over the planet. And there's a little running ticker down below, coachswap.club. It's a paid membership group for coaches who want to have unlimited coaching sessions, swapping back and forth so they can get experience. And the results are ridiculous. Coaches are going into this thing, swapping coaching sessions. And in that time, you're able to get instant feedback from the coach you've worked with after the session. Well, hey, I really appreciate how you said this. You could have been clearer on this. I love these questions. I felt great here. Like, you get an instant feedback, and that instantly boosts up your confidence, because not just taking something that's written out that, you know, in theory should work, you're actually applying it and actually going and doing it. I also do live trainings every single week. I'll either bring in an expert, very much like my podcast, I'll bring in an expert and do exclusive content that way, or I will go in and I'll have a Q&A, question and answer session. I'll just coach you on the spot. I'll do a training of some sort, like what's the next thing that we need to do in our coaching to start getting more clients. So all that stuff is available. Plus, you can practice not just an actual coaching call, but I have people on there who practice their sales calls. When you have to onboard a client, how do you practice? How do you actually bring somebody in through a phone conversation? So you can go and actually practice that. If you are into meditation, I have people who have practiced their guided meditations. I've had people who have prepared for podcasts and said, I want to have a practice interview. Great. So you go in there, it's just going and actually putting the foot to the floor and actually getting something done. So it is $10 a month USD. It's super, super inexpensive. And we, like I said, 85 members right now so far. It's growing very quickly. In the past month, we've raised that number up to 20 people in the group in the past month. And these are amazing coaches. These are action takers. These are people who really care about this business and really being good and not just showing up and trying to, make a living, kind of getting through. They are getting better. And people in this group, what's crazy is it's not intended to be a place to go in and find clients, but people joining they're getting practice sessions, and just for the confidence from being in this group, they're starting to post things like, oh my gosh, I just signed my first paid client. And I've had 5 people who've done this in the past 4 or 5 weeks who, oh my gosh, I've got a paid client. I didn't know what happened. We have one gentleman who's on the verge of getting almost $10,000 in sales in the past 3 months, just because he's got and applied a bunch of this stuff that we're talking about and got the confidence in doing it. So that's kind of a great little aftershock of this. It wasn't ever intended as that specifically, but people are more and more saying, oh my gosh, I got a client. This is so great. Thank you, CoachSwap. So I encourage you to take a look at that, CoachSwap.club. It's a phenomenal group, great people, and I'd love to have you guys there. It'd be awesome.
Amazing. So I'm such a great place to be, especially one that's led by you. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? But so much to offer. Thank you. That's awesome. So okay, I have a question for you.
I'll be honest, it's a little selfish. Like, I surrounded myself with people who are really, really amazing. So that's the problem, is I'm around people who are just awesome all day long, and so it's hard not to have fun. It's kind of like my own little group of people who just are just incredible people, just like you. It's way too much fun.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you something. If someone is watching this show and thinking, I wonder if I can be a coach. First of all, before we go there, there are a lot of coaches. There's coaches for everything. And so where do you see this industry going? That's my first question. Because I'm very optimistic when I feel like there's a coach for everything. Every little thing we want to accomplish in life, there is someone who can coach you. So that makes me very happy. It makes me very hopeful for our future. So where do you see this industry going? Are there a lot of is there a lot of coaches? Is there ever too many coaches? And how does someone know if they're made for this?
Yeah, so great question. The industry is really exploding right now, especially with COVID, people working from home. A lot of people have been displaced and lost their jobs or trying to figure out a second form of income. So have jumped into online world, e-commerce, and try to do some kind of a coaching or information-based product or something like that. It's a lot of new coaching products being developed. And right now it is exploding, but I don't see it as, in my world, I don't live in a world of scarcity. I live in a world of abundance. And I think that there's so much room for everybody. There's, just like you alluded to, there's literally an opportunity for a coach in just about every area. Every niche has the opportunity to have a coach. Just give you some examples. Some of the people I'm currently working with, one gentleman is a coach for people who are in mixed marriage relationships, not coaching them on that, but coaching them on how to handle family and how to handle outside pressure, right? So they're together, but they're dealing with the outside pressure, people giving them a lot of challenge with that. So that's one for people I work with. I've worked with people who are, one gentleman is doing very well. He's working specifically with film scoring who are trying to get work as a movie scorer. a composer. And so he's coaching and working with that group of people. I mean, you want like a specific niche. That's pretty specific. There's people who are coaching those who are getting off of addictive drugs and are out of rehab and out of therapy and trying to get coached into a better life. People trying to lose weight, people trying to get over emotional eating. Like there's seriously something out there that you are an expert in. And the way you can tell that you're going to do well in this industry is if you're going into this with the intention of two things. You go in knowing that you want to have a business, you want to be profitable. Because if you go into this saying, I don't want to make any money, I just want to go and serve and help, I would say start a nonprofit and do something else, because it's very tough sustaining to have the energy if you don't have money coming in. So that's the first thing. But the second thing, and the bigger driver, is you must be in this with really wanting to go in and serve and help. And like we talked about, put your aside and don't work your own limiting stuff and look at what can you help and serve the people I want to work. And if you get up in the morning and you're constantly thinking like, man, I know there's people out there who need my help. I want to figure out how I can help them today. And I want to figure out how I can serve it. I want to figure out how I can make this world better. Then you're a coach. That's what the mindset is. And then my job is to help people like that say, okay, I would love to have you help that. And let's have you make a successful business that pays you well for this, so you can do this at even bigger level. That's how you know you're ready.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Thank you so much. My friend, we're like out of time. I want to give you a couple more minutes, because I know you have so much in you to give. Thank you so much for your generosity in sharing everything you did today with us. But again, 2 more minutes to just leave us with whatever you want.
Oh my goodness. Well, for this audience, let's say this. No matter what you're wanting to do, wanting to become a coach, or if you're wanting to be something that feels a little outside of your comfort zone, something that feels like you're having to take a risk or take a challenge, and you're worried about what people are going to think, what people are going to say, worried about the obstacles, worried about the pressure, the unknown. First thing I want to do is I just want to affirm that if you have a desire to make somebody else's life better through something, if you have something inside of you that says, I can make this world better if I can just apply some of the things I know and some things I do, I know I can make an improvement. I just encourage you to get help, get coaching, get support some way, somehow, and not that die out. The world's in a place right now, and I say this thing at the end of one of my live videos that I do. I believe right now that the coaching industry is the industry. It is the group that can actually help our planet heal and help things fix itself. There's so much concern and there's so much negativity and animosity, but getting out as a coach, and really as a coach and a servant of other people, that's what's going to make us stronger as a human race, and that's what's going to help our planet survive and thrive. So if you have a passion inside of you to go out and serve, I want to affirm right now that that's a good thing. That's okay. Are there going to be obstacles? Yes. Are there going to be challenges? Yes. Are you going to feel like quitting sometimes? Yes. But if you get with somebody, if you connect with a peer group, some accountability coaching or something to help you push through that, I promise you, if you struggle and you push through and you try and you actually insist that you're going to get through this and not give up, not only will it happen, but you will change lives in ways that you don't even know, and you will empower people around you in such huge, incredible ways that you can move mountains and change generations. So I encourage you right now that, take action. Take whatever it is that you think is that little seed, and you're like, I've been thinking about this for a while. I want you to take that, whatever that is, and I want you to run with it right now today and just do it. And it'll be great. It'll be tough, but oh my gosh, will it be worth it?
Yes. You heard him. William Winterton, you can reach this guy actually if you want to work with him one-on-one. You can start working with him. Reach out to him on this website, www.coachswap.club. That's where people can reach you, right, William, if they want to work with you one-on-one as well with your ultimate client attraction program for coaches.
Yeah. Yep. You can go to,
Okay.
you can go to that. You can go to ultimateclientattraction.com. You can also just find me on Facebook. I'm there too. So
He's
you'll
everywhere.
find me.
And listen to his radio show, Coaching Success
That's right.
Radio, which is filled with positivity. That's the stuff we want to fill our heads with, especially during crisis. We need to double up on positivity intake and hang out with people like this guy. This is where you want to be in his world. So reach out to him. William, I am so grateful to have you here on my show. I'm very blessed and thankful that you took the time. I know you don't do this for just anyone. And so I feel very honored to have you on Dela's Voice. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Dela, thank you. You are a blessing. And thank you for everything you do for your show, your audience, and just stay the fight. You're doing great.
Thank you. Till we meet again, my friend. And for whomever watched today or will be watching, I want to thank you for giving us your time. Stay blessed and share this with other people so that they can also benefit from everything that was said here today. Until next time, this has been Dela's Voice, hoping to spark your soul. Bye.